I had this quarter midlife crisis. I wanted to do something that was creative.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Paul Tully with the FYI Podcast. I got a guest in the house today. This is Stephen Kelly. He is an author. He wrote this book. We're going to talk a little bit about this. It's really awesome. I'll let him talk about it. He's also an independent filmmaker, actor, all around. Lots of things this guy does, and we're going to talk about his whole journey and how he got out here to LA and how he's doing what he's doing. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, man.
It was great. We got to meet through a mutual friend, so I was glad he reached out to me, and I was just intrigued by your story. Just talking about, obviously we talked about the arts and stuff and
Right.
what we're doing out here, but just kind of everything. Why don't we kind of jump into that? We were talking a little bit about, which I'd like to talk about before we get into the book and stuff, is this documentary type of thing you may be doing. It's pretty intriguing with, I don't know,
Yeah.
You can't talk too much about it or names, but a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, so I had an idea about doing a documentary about first responders and basically what they go through and what is their calling. So I went to high school in the Bronx, had a guy that was a teacher of mine who became a fireman and then worked through the ranks, was actually in 9/11.
Wow.
He was one of the last firemen out in one of the towers.
Wow.
I worked in World Trade Center prior. My sister was 3 blocks away.
Wow.
So we have a connection to that, 9/11, the whole thing. So about 6 months ago, I had this idea of I wanted to interview him and talk to him about his career and answering the calling of being a fireman. 9/11 is a part of it, but it's really about the first responders, their call. Like I was telling you earlier, another part of it was 7 years ago, my brother died in an accident in Las Vegas. He hit his head. I live in LA, so I drove out there. He was there for 3 days. He didn't make it, and doctors were fantastic. The nurses were fantastic. I was there much longer than I should have stayed in the ER room, in his room. I asked a ton of questions. They ran all these tests for him. And then it was just to the point where he was going to be let go. So they pulled the plug. He went peacefully. But this came up. I was standing there with 2 doctors and 3 nurses and said, look, I don't have your job. I don't do this for a living. You guys do. You do this on a daily basis, and you affect people's lives. And I said, you'll forget me, but I won't forget you. Mm. So that stuck with me. And then I have a couple of buddies I work out with that are ex-fire or ex-PD, and they talk about these stories about saving people's lives.
Wow.
My brother-in-law is an LA City fireman. So again, it's that calling, because I'm in sales, I'm an actor and a writer and all this stuff, but I didn't, that's not my calling. So I went to this fireman, again, a guy I grew up with, and I said, look, I want to do this documentary. So he lives in New York. I'm going to shoot it in January.
Wow.
It's called Pints with Kelly. It'll be a bar setting. We're both Irish, and we'll be in a bar, sitting, having a pint, and just talking about the calling.
Wow.
Basically, yeah.
That's that's so intriguing. When we were talking on the phone before meeting and you were telling me about that, I was like, oh yeah, man, I want to get you on the pod and just talk about. Yeah, I agree, man. I think first responders, and I'm always intrigued by the mentality of doing like that kind of work and being of service, and I think especially as probably, as artists, especially, kind of like creating things is awesome, and we want to inspire people through our work and our art. But it's like you look at these first responders, and it's like, no, they're affecting lives immediately, and that's.
Again, I remember the doctors' faces. I remember the nurses' faces 7 years ago. So that will always be with me. And like I said, I've had conversations with my brother-in-law, sitting around having a beer, just about same thing. And it's interesting. The fireman in New York, where I'm doing this piece on, he's an ex-battalion chief. He's retired. And my brother-in-law used the same exact word, calling. It was a calling for them to join the department and become firemen.
Wow.
So I again, you've got two guys 3,000 miles apart who don't know one another, who both were in the fire department, use that word. So I thought that was fascinating as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned a calling.
Yeah.
It's like they're, and a lot of first responders, you know, you would think they would brag, or they don't brag. They're very like quiet about what they do. It's like they do their job, and you know, they don't want to be seen or thanked, you know, which is interesting.
It is.
You know?
Again,
I mean, some may, but I mean, there's a lot I've met that it's like you don't even know that they're, you know, a hero, you know, like you saved like 3 people last weekend, but to them it's like, you know,
well, they just
job.
They rinse and repeat. They
Yeah.
just go back, they go and they do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's part of that, and also the part where, you know, you are holding someone in your arms when they do pass.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty heavy thing. Like I said, I'm going back to my brother-in-law here. I've been married going on 22 years, so I've been with him for a long time. Unless I ask him direct questions about this, it's just not something he talks about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't sit around and talk about what he does on a daily basis.
Right.
So I think they do. They take it for granted in terms of what they do and the effect that it has on people like us.
Yeah, you brought me back. Just sitting here, I'm having like flashbacks of when my son was born. He was a C-section.
Okay.
And I remember I was young when my son was born, 19, and just a young kid, you know. But I remember what was so fascinating to me is when I was in the room. You know, they bring you in and his mother, you know, they put like a drape like type of thing. I don't know.
My son was C-section too,
so
I know
see.
I know exactly
I
know exactly what you're talking about.
It's amazing,
man.
right?
It is amazing.
She's flipped, like her stomach's open with clamps, and they're pulling, you know, a life out. And I remember they gave my son, you know, to me. And I remember looking at that doctor and those nurses, but specifically that doctor. I remember looking and just thinking, that's fascinating that you can, like, you know, in my head, it's like, oh man, you cut yourself wrong or something, you bleed out and you could die. And it's like, they have her open, they're pulling a life out, they know how to close her up, keep her levels right. And I'm sitting there and I remember looking at her and the light was hitting her and she looked like an angel, you know, and I was like, wow, like this is a miracle what's happening right here. And these doctors and nurses are part of that. And I'm like, what a powerful job, man. Like I haven't really thought of that in years till talking to you right now, but I'm like, wow, what a powerful job. And people dying, right? Like you said, they see it all, these doctors. It's or first responders, police officers, fire. They see tragedy. They see triumph. They see miracles. It's just, sometimes I'm like, I'm talking on a podcast, you know, and I'm like, but there's importance in everything we do. But yeah, I think definitely, how do you feel about, I feel like we haven't been giving first responders in the recent years enough respect. I feel like they don't get, I talked about this on another podcast, same with like teachers. I feel like first responders and teachers, they don't get, like we praise something, athletes and stuff, and it's like, what about these people? Or like, I don't know.
Okay, it's so funny you say that, because when you look at a teacher, because of my book now, because I'm dealing with a lot of teachers now throughout the country, because it's geared towards 6 to 11-year-olds, they are like first responders. Because if you look back, man, in your life, there has to be a couple of teachers that you remember that may have said to you, because I was an okay high school student till I was about a junior in high school. I played baseball and I swam, and we had a couple of kids I swam with that were in the honor society. So these guys were, you know, smart, getting great grades, and I was doing okay. And I had a teacher say to me, an English teacher, and I was a junior, saying, you're just as smart and as talented as anyone here, and all these in the school. Why don't you perform that way? Like, you're an athlete, right? Well, why don't you take that ability, that drive, that commitment, and apply it towards academics? And I started doing it, and it was rewarding.
Yeah.
To get good grades, and all of a sudden my friend's like, wow, well, Kelly is smart. Kelly is smart after all. He's not an idiot.
Sharp over here.
Yeah. So no, but I mean, like, teachers, my God, like, again, they shape you. Like I said, there has to be a couple of teachers in your life.
Yeah.
Whether it be kindergarten, grammar school, high school, college, whatever it is, that helped you, that molded you, that gave you that confidence. That took you aside and say, "Hey, look,
mentored you."
Yes, absolutely. And
I had a nun, dude. I went to Catholic school when I was a kid.
So did I.
In New York, and I'll tell you what, I had this nun. I used to do this. I would daydream in class, and when she's writing on the board, I don't know why, but my pencil, it'd be like a gun. Like, and I'd be, wow, that doesn't age well. It's not. But, it was like, I'm saying I'm daydreaming in my head. I was like a soldier. Like, I'd kind of like to watch, like, war movies and stuff. I remember one day, Sister Mary Ellen, she was like, Mr. Tully, old Irish Catholic nun. She had her back to me. She goes, what are you doing with that pencil? She goes, are you pretending to be a soldier? Are you sure? I was like, wow. That's about as far mentorship as I ever got from a teacher. But it wasn't so much mentorship as it taught me a lesson. Like, man,
yep.
She knows something. Either there's a mirror somewhere, or she. I still to this day can't figure out how she knew what the heck I was doing.
Somehow, man, somehow she knew.
Maybe she had mirrors on the shoes or something.
They wind up shaping us a lot of ways.
No, for sure. For sure.
I mean, just the impact.
They're with you longer than your parents.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's like, I'm not smart enough to figure out that whole thing with education, but yeah, no, teachers are so critical, so important.
Absolutely.
Guidance counselors, I mean, everything with that. You would think these positions were so much more praised.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not an economist, so I don't know how there's, but it's the things we glorify in society, just doesn't seem to add up to the people who are actually on the front line making change every day. Teachers, doctors, just everything.
I mean, you're right. If you grow up in a, working family where two parents, dual income families, they're both working, you drop your son or daughter off, your kids off to the teachers, the kindergarten teachers, for example, man, you're right. They're with them maybe more waking hours than we would be because they go to sleep, but they're molding and shaping. And when we talk about the book later, I've seen that live because I've read the book to kindergarten classes here in LA, and I've had other teachers read them throughout the country. And just the impact that these teachers have on these kids in terms of just how they get along, how they work within a group.
Yeah.
And again, they're not doing it for the money.
No.
Clearly not for the money. No. So it's a passion. It's a calling for them.
It's a calling.
I would think. I'm not a teacher, but it would have to be.
I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine. Let's jump into the book. I want to show it again. Why don't we talk a little bit about it if you want to?
Sure. I don't know if it's a kind of a crazy story. So I'd done 3 film shorts, right, in the last year and a half. And started to promote on social media.
Yeah.
Because you enter film festivals and you start getting awards, which is great. So I had 3 films out. So you got to promote it, right? So you put it on Instagram, you put it on X and TikTok and all that. So I met an author in LA who knew that I've written the 3 shorts. He'd seen him and he said, well, what else have you done? I've written a couple screenplays. Okay. Anything else? I'm like, yeah, actually I wrote a sonnet, like a love story, like 30 years ago. Oh, send it to me. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I wasn't in that space at the time, right?
Yeah.
I was just a dude writing about breaking up with a girl, right?
Yeah.
So I sent it to him and he said, this is really good. You should put it on like Twitter, X. I'm like, again, I don't want to put it out there and get slammed and all this stuff. So I did. A publisher read it and said, this speaks to me. Have you ever thought about writing a children's book? No, because I hadn't.
Yeah.
I'd written, films and stuff like that, but it was all adult themed stuff, most drama and comedy, but nothing like this and kids and just. So I said no, but then I did some homework on it, figured out, okay, this is a lot of it's age focused, right? So I said, what age groups do you work with? She said like 6 to 11. Okay. She gave me a word count on it. Okay. And 2 days later, I wrote the manuscript for it.
Wow.
Sent it to her. And
wow,
it's crazy.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's crazy. So it went from doing a play. I did a play in 2022 in L.A., Lilies of the Field. I did that play, and then from the play, I met an actor in the play, and she's Argentine. I said, look, I always wanted to do kind of a New York style drama where it's potential divorce. So shot in like a one scene in a kitchen, kind of tight. I did that, and then I did 2 other shorts. So through doing the play, meeting the actress, then starting to write, social media, and then the book. So
wow.
it's been a crazy journey, man.
Yeah.
It really has, and it's all been within like 2 years.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I love hearing that. I love hearing when people get inspired to do something, I mean, that's the whole point of our podcast, is finding your inspiration. And, our podcast isn't necessarily for any specific career model. It's just what inspires people to find what they're doing and how they get there. And what's great about what you're doing is you're finding stuff. You're taking this all these different experiences in life, and you're putting them in books and shorts and, acting, and, it's great.
The thing about it is I came out here in the 90s from I was a bartender at Planet Hollywood in D.C.
Did you come out to act?
I did. I did. I literally just got the bug. I was not an actor in high school. I was not an actor in college. I didn't do any of that stuff. But I used to always write. I would write, but I had no training in it. So I got a job as I literally had this quarter midlife crisis. I was like 25 years old. I'm like working in corporate America. I worked for IBM. Oh, wow. And I worked on the New York Commodity Exchange and World Trade Center. So I was doing that, and I just literally wanted to do something that was creative.
Yeah.
I worked for a commodity trader who unfortunately committed suicide, and I was a runner on the exchange, and it really affected me as a boy because he was like a mentor.
Yeah.
He was larger than life. So I wrote about that just freehand on my computer because I worked for IBM, and I had a computer in my apartment. My father was a bartender at the Four Seasons restaurant in New York City. He had a bartender who was a writer, who had stuff like in Forbes, who wrote a book about Vietnam.
Wow.
I sent him the story. I sent it to my father. My father gave it to him. He called me and said, okay, you need to do this.
Wow.
You need to be a writer. So I literally said, okay, if I'm going to be a writer, that means I need to have like free time. So I left corporate America and became a bartender. I couldn't make a rum and Coke. I was a beer guy. I had no concept of it. But I got a job at a smaller restaurant. Then I got a job at Planet Hollywood, and Planet Hollywood was all the rage in D.C.
Yeah.
So I was there for a year and a half, and then I'm like, okay, well, what do I do? Start doing theater in D.C. Okay. Never done theater. My first, first thing was the best little whorehouse in Texas. Oh. I had to sing. Nice. I had to sing for the audition. I'm not a singer.
Yeah.
I had to do a solo.
Do you remember what song you sang?
I sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which was the dumbest song ever because it's so hard to sing.
That's awesome.
As a solo, I sang that. I remember that distinctly, good or bad. We had to learn dance routines.
Wow.
So I did that. Started getting print work because you have to get a headshot. So I met a guy that said, hey, I do a lot of commercial work, like be a doctor, be a lawyer, that not print, not runway stuff.
Yeah.
But just print work. So I started doing that, and then I'm like, okay, I'm in Planet Hollywood in D.C. What do? Do I go back to New York and try to do theater, right, and do film, or do I go out to California? I'd never been west of Texas. So I applied for a job. I flew out to Southern California, interviewed, came back, and I got the job. Because they told me that, dude, you're not going to get it because there's going to be so many people out of L.A. that will apply. You're in D.C. You're not getting a job. I got it. Wow. But I had to be out in 10 days.
Wow.
So I packed my car up. This is pre-internet. I somehow found a real estate agent that found me an apartment in Newport Beach because Planet Hollywood was in Costa Mesa, which is like the next town over. Basically, right? So I drove out here like 15 hours a day. Wow. I had remember the big old TVs?
Yeah.
That was in my car. So I had to unload that guy every night at the Motel 6 because I didn't want to get stolen.
Yeah.
Put it back in the car, drove out. This was like 1994, 1996. I'd gotten enough work where I got my SAG card.
Nice.
Where I didn't have to bartend anymore. So I was getting a little work, this, that, and the other, TV shows. And then I had a motorcycle accident.
Oh, wow.
And that changed everything.
What happened on the motorcycle?
I was going through, it's actually a pretty common injury for guys that ride. I was going through an intersection, and a guy made a left-hand turn right in front of me.
Oh,
It was in the fall, so the sun was starting to go down earlier at night. And the man it's a very common, because we only have, one headlight, and people are used to seeing the two.
Yeah.
And the guy just made a turn. I'm going through the intersection, and he made a turn right in front of me.
You just right
I just rolled and rolled. Luckily, I tucked my arms, so I didn't break. I broke my collarbone, but I shattered my right ankle.
Wow.
When I came to, my foot was perpendicular to my leg. I was a mess. I couldn't walk for 6 months.
Oh, man.
I ran out of money. And then I had to go back and get a real job again. So I left all that behind. And then, like 1999, I started working alcohol beverage as a supplier. So I've sold some really big brands like Stoli, Jameson. I worked for some wine companies. But I left that all behind. I got married. Nice. My wife was in the alcohol bev business. She didn't even know that I came out here to be an actor and being a writer, because I left it all behind.
Yeah.
It's expensive to live out here.
Right.
So, you got to make money.
Yeah, you got to, exactly. You got to prioritize. Yeah.
So literally, I put it all behind me, got married, had a son, bought a house in Pasadena. Then we moved, in LA and stuff. And then fast forward 20 years. Now we're at 2021. I got married in 2002. And a friend of mine is an actress. She said, oh, they do reels now. Well, what's a reel? Because there was no such thing as a reel 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
She goes, oh, you can go into a studio and they'll film you for, let's say, 45 seconds to a minute, maybe a little longer. You can do a comedy one. You could do a drama one. You could do husband and wife, doctor, lawyer.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then, like I mentioned earlier, then all of a sudden the play came up. This is on a tail end of COVID. So I hadn't done theater in 20 years, man. So I'm like,
wow.
A little nerve-wracking to go up there, because it was actually a live physical audition, which there weren't any at that point because it was COVID.
Yeah.
So you had to go. We're wearing masks.
Wow.
Audition in a mask. I got the part, and then we were back in it. Luckily, it was COVID, and I did a lot of traveling for business, but there was no travel for business back then. So I could go rehearse three, four nights a week.
Sure.
So, yeah, and then all of a sudden it just sort of
started picking up for you.
Yeah, sort of snowballed. Yeah, man. So it's.
And how's that working now? Like, have you got representation in that? Are you working on that, or?
You know, I had an agent, and nothing was really going on. So, you know, the way it is with, there's so many websites now. There's Actors Access. There's Casting Network. So there's so much out there. But I've really been focused on the book now, and that's a whole nother level, because that's now you're dealing with school systems, because it is a teaching book.
Yeah.
The book's theme is basically Henry does his best. Henry's a little boy playing baseball, and he struggles with it. So the dogs in this story can talk. They're brother or sister. It's really cute, because the publisher, when she signed me on, she said, "Okay, send me pictures of your family." I sent her a picture of my wife and my son and myself. My son played high school football, so we had that in there. And we have a dog named Luna, who's a Dobie mix, who looks just like what she said. "Oh, that's gonna be one of the dogs." I said, "Okay, it's only one dog." She said, "No, we can make a male version of Luna." So it became Rex and Daisy. So again, in this book, the dogs can talk, but not all dogs can talk in this world. But it doesn't mean that my two dogs are better than the dogs across the street. We're all different. We all have different talents. So the dogs help Henry deal with, hey, you're trying to play baseball, you're not getting hits, okay. And the coaches said the same thing to him. Look, two things. Number one, are you ready to go? Are you prepared? Yes. Number two, did you try your best? Yes. Other than that, what else is there? These kids are 8 years old.
Yeah.
Like, are you ready to go? Yes. Did you try your best? Yes. I mean, you can actually apply that in life.
Yeah, yeah.
As we get older, you know, life is much more results driven.
Sure.
But, you know, in this world, it's really about, okay, try your best. And I read it to a kindergarten class last year in LA, and it was really cool because I came back the week afterwards, and the teacher had started to incorporate, okay, guys, are we ready to go? Yes.
Nice.
Did you try your best? Yes. So it's so rewarding to go and read to kids and see their faces and see how they react to it, you know, because first time, like, you know, there's Rex and Daisy are the dogs, and Henry and Emily are the kids. I have a friend named Emily. I have a friend named Emily. I have a dog named Rex. It's really cute. And then when you read to them and you start asking them questions, they just light up.
Yeah.
And they give you like their life experiences when they see the book. So it's super rewarding. I want to do a series of them. The next will be about the girl, Emily, where she'll meet a new friend. So it'll be a family from another country, moves to America, doesn't speak English. So it'll be about meeting a new friend, new culture, and there'll be a dog in it who's from a different country. And maybe that dog doesn't speak. So my two dogs can then help that dog assimilate, let's say at the dog park.
Cool.
Because that's their, you know, the dog's lives or dog parks where they all kind of learn how to get along, right?
Right.
They all have to learn how to assimilate and
play with each other.
The rules of the road. Yeah. So again, it's so rewarding just to do something like that, because to me, it makes a difference when you see kids that like pick up on it. And like when I tell them, look, two things: be ready, be prepared, and do your best. Other than that, if you do those two things, normally good things will happen.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's great. So
I feel like, man, that's your next script as well. You know, like that's the kind of film or animation that really could inspire people, you know. God works in mysterious ways. And I think what you're doing with this is really powerful and really awesome. I think you're onto something really good. And it could go in, I mean, maybe not just books. It's also writing an animation script, writing this. Some of these Pixar movies are like the biggest things on the planet, you know. And it's That's great. I mean, I just went to see Inside Out 2 with a friend. And I don't watch animation movies really. So, you know, she was like, oh, you know, I really want to see this. It's about like these characters they have anxiety and stuff. And I'm like, oh, all right, let's go watch it. I loved it. I was like, this is great. And it definitely evoked thought in my mind and compassion for people who suffer with high anxiety or depression. And so, yeah, I think you're onto something really good, man.
Well, you know, I look at it like this, you know, a legacy. This is a legacy for me. My son is my legacy. Your kids are your legacy. Yeah. So it's important. You know, you're right. The films I've done, there's always a message in it in some way. There's always multi-layered. But with the book, doing the documentary about first responders and the firemen, yeah, I mean, it's something that it's important, and it's I'm just hate to say it, but this is like my calling. Yeah. Which I found later. I found later in life. Look, Robert Mondavi, I think, was like 60 when he decided to break off, or in his 50s maybe, when he broke off from his brother and his father to start Robert Mondavi Winery of Napa. They told him, you're crazy. Yeah. Don't do it. It's not going to work. Yeah. Stick to what we do. Right. But he had a vision. He had a vision to do it. Excuse me. Look, in every revolution, there's always one man with a vision. Yeah. Right? It always is. So that was his vision, and stuff like this. This is like my vision, my calling. Again, it's so rewarding to see kids light up and they get happy, and it's really cool. I love it, man. I think it's fantastic. So yeah, supportive. Let's talk about where are things going at now. What's the main focus? You know, as far as I mean, obviously your projects, but just for you in general, how's everything? You're living in Pasadena still? Or? No, we live in L.A. We live up by Santa Clarita, up that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have a son. He's a sophomore at ASU, at Arizona State University. Yeah, so, you know, he's there. He's in school. You know, that was a big adjustment, having your son not within, home. We're not home. He's 6 hours away by car. So we're just doing that. Like I said, I've been married 22 years. Yeah, it's good to have someone to bounce ideas off of. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Steven, man, it's been an honor having you on. Thank you. Thing I like to do before I close out interviews, I like to ask the guests to look at your camera and maybe give, you know, don't overthink it, but give a message to somebody watching that maybe your story's resonating with them, and what words of encouragement would you have for them? Sure. So when I look at it that way, if you have a calling for something, do it. They're your expectations. Don't base your expectations off of what other people think or say. I started late being an actor, being a writer, you know, making a book, writing a book. If I listen to all the outside noise, or why are you doing this? You'll never be able to do it. It's too hard, this, that, and the other. I would have never done it. I moved out here to California. I didn't know anybody. I just did it. So if you have something you want to do, just do it. Believe in yourself. Keep all the noise out. Keep the positive people around you, and then just keep at it. It's not easy. It is not easy. It's a struggle. It's not easy selling a book. It's not easy making films. It's not, because there are a lot of people trying to do it. So you have to be persistent. You have to listen to people that are in the industry, that have the knowledge. Set your ego apart and listen to them. Yeah. Find people that have done this. Find mentors. But man, it's like I work every single day on this. It's great. Oh, so, that's great. Yeah. That's great. I'm going to close us out with my final messages here.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Couple gems that I took out of this this sit down. Overall, his whole talk about his journey coming cross state and having the big TV back then, and bringing it in and out of the motels. It's like his determination and his drive to do it had no bounds. He just mentioned in his closing comments, don't let the outside noise come in. Don't listen to other people. Block out the outside noise. If you feel you have a calling, no matter what it is, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter the results if you're great at what you do. If you feel you want to do it, if you feel that you're interested, if it drives you, go do it. We get one life. Go out there. I hope it's all positive stuff that you're motivated to do, but go now. Don't hesitate. We all could get a piece of this pie. Anyways, thank you guys. This is another episode of FYI. See you on the next one.
You should never stress about the problems you be facing. Everybody in the mud on the struggle trying to make it. Look into the mirror and you see your motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration. I'm finding inspiration, and once I get a hold of it, I'll never get complacent. Look into the mirror and you see the motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration.